Hey everybody, it's Duran from the Van Mart. Today we're going to be installing these side steps from Vanspeed. For today's install, you're going to need a black Sharpie, a impact with a 1/2 inch deep well socket, a drill with a 3/8 drill bit. What you'll receive in your package is a driver and passenger side step, a curve support, 2 straight supports, a hardware pack, 4 flat backing plates, and 4 bent plates. We're going to start off today's install with putting on our safety glasses. This installation is a lot easier with a helping hand, so grab your neighbor or friend. Today, I'm going to have Brent help me. We're going to start today's install by marking all the holes along the top of the pinch weld. This is when a helper is going to come in handy. I have Brent here helping us lift up the step. We're going to grab our Sharpie and we're going to go ahead and start off by marking our first hole in the front. Once we have the holes marked on the first one, we're going to go ahead and grab our drill with a 3/8 drill bit and our safety glasses and drill the first set of holes. Now that we have the first 2 holes drilled, we're going to go ahead and grab 2 5/16 bolts and install them in the first 2. Go ahead and grab a nut and washer and just hand tighten it on the back. This is all temporary. We have our front bracket hand tightened. We're going to go ahead and go to the back bracket and mark and drill out those holes next. Now that we're on the rear bracket, I'm going to go ahead and rest my knees underneath the step to lift it up and mark the rear holes just like the front. Now that it's marked, you can go ahead and start drilling. Now that we have these drilled, we're going to go ahead and do the same as the front and put 2 bolts in with some nuts hand tightened on the back. Now that we have the rear and the front brackets hand tightened, we're going to go ahead and grab our 2 bent brackets and move to the middle support brackets.
I want to go over a couple questions that we get a lot in regards to our side steps, okay? So this is the flat bracket and this is the angle bracket. Where do they go? At some point in time, the Sprinter's pinch weld got super curved. We didn't know until we got a bunch of phone calls. People were like, hey, the flat bracket's not meeting up to the pinch weld. So the design was this angled bracket. It gets you a little bit more of a lift to actually meet the pinch weld. So where these angled brackets are used is in the middle of your pinch weld. So if you have 4 of these, you are going to have a flat one on the far back, a flat one on the far forward, and you're going to have 2 of these angled ones in the middle of your side step. If you take a look at the front of the vehicle, or by the front tire right here, you can see how the tube is very close to the pinch weld right here. We don't need a curved bracket because the flat one reaches no problem. But as we start to move back towards the rear wheel, you'll start to see the gap starts to get big between the actual tube and the pinch weld. That's where we need to put the angled bracket so we can get that extra 1/2 inch of lift to get the bolts to meet the pinch weld. 2 in the middle, and these go on the far outside edge.
Once we move to our middle bracket, we're going to go ahead and grab the 2 bent supplied brackets. As you could tell, there are 2 slotted holes in this. This is going to make up for any pinch weld inconsistencies. What we have noticed with these modern day sprinters is the pinch weld can either be bowed or have some movement side to side. This will make up for all that. When you go ahead and mount this underneath your body, you're gonna wanna make sure that the pinch weld is on the inside of the bracket. We're gonna go ahead and grab our bent support bracket, and the 2 bolts come in from the top, which are the 2 supplied 5/16 bolts. And we're gonna put our bracket underneath here, grab your 2 nuts, loosely tighten them. Next, we're gonna go ahead and grab our Sharpie and try to level out the step and mark your holes next. You're gonna go ahead and repeat the same step on the next bracket as well. Right here, we're on the second bracket in the middle. This is the front bracket that we hand tightened our bolts on and nuts. We're gonna go ahead and move to this next bracket. This is the inside view. We're gonna go ahead and put our 2 5/16 bolts. We're gonna grab 2 nuts as well, and we're gonna place our bracket right here, and then we're gonna hand tighten these. Once they're hand tightened, you're gonna wanna make sure that your step is as level as possible and go ahead and push up. You're gonna wanna go ahead and mark your holes. Now that we have all our holes marked, we're gonna go ahead and undo all the hardware and take the step down to go ahead and drill all our holes out and put primer in them. Now that your side steps are down and we have our holes marked, we're gonna go ahead and start and drill these out. Now that we have this side done, we're gonna go ahead and move our way to the next bracket. Now that we have all the holes drilled for the step, we're gonna go ahead and apply some primer throughout all the holes to prevent rust in the future before reinstalling our step again. So you're gonna wanna apply from the outside and the inside to every hole that you drilled that shows exposed metal. Now that we have all the holes primered, we're gonna go ahead and grab our step, hardware, and these little backing plates. We're gonna put one on the front and one on the rear. This is gonna help give the mounting surface more support. Now that we have all the step hardware installed and hand tightened, we're gonna go ahead and take our 1/2" impact and tighten everything down before moving to the step supports. Now that we have all the hardware bolted down, we're gonna go ahead and move to the main support.
All right, so we are under the front driver's seat of the van. If you have a bunch of hoses right here, there's a good chance that you have the OEM auxiliary heater or air conditioner, or you could have both. And in that case, you would have a bunch of hoses on this side and you'd have a bunch of hoses on the other side as well. On this van, there is nothing like that. We don't have any of the auxiliary parts. So we are able to use our straight arm on this side, and we could actually use it on the other side too, because we don't have anything on the span. If you have any of those components, you'll be able to tell very clearly. You have a bunch of stuff going on here, hard hoses, hard lines, all kinds of stuff. You need to use our curved bracket. The side steps are going to come with one of those. If you have both of the auxiliary components, the heater and the air conditioner, there's a good chance you might need to buy another curve support. It always comes with one, but in the rare cases you have both, you will need to purchase another curve support so you can clear all of those hard lines and hoses. We don't want anything rubbing and chafing on any hoses, you know, so let's just clear them and be safe. When you are checking out on the VanMart and you're purchasing your side steps, there is an option to add another curve support, because it will come with one, but if you need two, you will need to purchase another one separately.
For the main support, we're gonna go ahead and grab the straight support with a 5/16 bolt and washer. We're gonna line up to the top here, grab your bolt and washer, put it through the bottom, grab a nut, hand tighten it. And we're gonna wanna make sure that this is visually straight. We're gonna go ahead and grab our 4 self-tapping screws and impact and line it up to the top here and go ahead and impact it in. If you do not have an impact, you could also pre-drill and screw them in after. Once we have our self-tappers in up top, we're gonna go ahead and move our step to the adjustment we want to make it level. And then we're gonna go ahead and tighten our nut right here. You're gonna repeat the same process on the front support. Moving to the front bracket, we're gonna repeat the same steps we just did from the other bracket. You'll notice there are 3 slotted holes here that are going to give you different options in case you have something that interferes, like a water tank or an auxiliary heater. Now that this is hand tightened, we're going to go ahead and go to our self-tappers. Now that we got those self-tappers in, we're gonna go ahead and find the adjustment point we want our step to lay on, and we're gonna tighten the bolt down here. And that wraps up our installation for the passenger side. The driver's side, you're gonna repeat the same exact steps. Instead of 2 straight supports, you're gonna utilize 1 curve support.
In this video, we go into great detail on the passenger side, but not so much on the driver's side. So I just want to touch a couple of key points in the side step on the driver's side that will help you guys get this install done right the first time. When you do these side steps, it's really easy to do it by yourself if you start in the front right here by leveling the side step with the fender well and using the step as a template. Once you're holding it up here, the back down there can be on the ground, and that's okay. We're going to just mark it using the side step with a Sharpie. Drop it back down, and if you have a punch or some kind of something to mark it, I'd probably do that. Mark it, get your 3/8 drill through the pinch weld. Be careful though, when you're drilling through the pinch weld, it can grab your bit and yank your drill right into the bottom portion of the door right here, so be careful not to hit your van. Once you have that hole drilled there, get some spray paint. I like to use the cap and just spray some into the cap, and then get a brush. And now you can brush a little paint on that newly drilled hole right there so we don't have any rust in the future. Once that's done, get your side step, put it up there, put the bolt through, and put a flat backing plate on here, okay? And then just get a nut, finger tight it now. So now the whole step can just pivot off of this front bolt right here. It's gonna make getting the rest of this, these spots lined up and marked really easy. So you can move on to the back side, lift it up by yourself, mark it with a Sharpie, drop it back down, repeat the same steps that you did right here. After you get those 2, the front and the far back holes drilled, with the flat backing plates on there, move to the middle, and that is where the angled brackets are going to be used because of that arc in the pinch weld. We got to use the angled bracket so we can get that extra like ½ inch of clearance or of height to meet the pinch weld and mark those holes and drill them accordingly. Also, a question is like, oh no, I'm on the driver's side and I only have the curved bracket left. That's fine. The curved bracket can go on either side. The straight brackets, the straight support arms could go on either side. So don't get too worried about that. It's fine if one straight one or a curved one ends up on one of the other sides. It's okay. Another question that I get pretty often is, I have this support arm, whether it's the curved one or the straight one, there's 4 holes in here, on this one and on the straight one that mounts up this way. They say, I can only get 3 of the self-tappers into the frame of the Sprinter. That's perfectly fine. We have like 10 Sprinters out here, but probably have 3 of those self-tappers in the frame of the Sprinter. We're rough on our Vans. They're not gonna fall off. Those are some pretty stout self-tappers. It's perfectly fine if you only got 3 in there. If you can get 4, great. If you got 3, it's gonna be okay. Nothing's gonna happen to your side steps, I promise.
If you have any further questions, you could reach out to us at info@thevanmart.com. And I hope to see you out on the road.